True crime documentary narration. In the shimmering skyline of Dubai, where glass towers pierce the desert sky and wealth moves like water through marble corridors, appearances are everything. On the 47th floor of the Burj Al Mesa residences, a private development overlooking the Palm Jumeirah, lived Karim and Layla Hassan. At 38 and 36 respectively, they embodied the city's modern success story. He, a senior executive in renewable energy investments. She, an interior architect whose designs graced the homes of royalty and CEOs. Their penthouse spanned 8,000 square feet, with floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the Arabian Gulf at sunrise and the city lights at dusk. Inside, minimalist white marble met warm teak accents, a quiet sanctuary amid the relentless pulse of ambition. Yet beneath the polished surface, a private ache had grown for years. The couple had been married for 12 years. They wanted a child, more than anything, but biology had refused them. Multiple rounds of IVF, specialists in London and Singapore, experimental treatments in Zurich, nothing worked. Doctors spoke in percentages and probabilities that grew smaller with each passing cycle. By early 2024, the emotional toll had become unbearable. Publicly, they smiled at galas and charity events. Privately, they sat in silence on their terrace, watching yachts glide across the water, wondering if their legacy would end with them. That spring, Layla came across an discreet online forum for high-net-worth individuals seeking private family solutions. Surrogacy was heavily regulated in the UAE, legal only under strict medical and ethical guidelines, often involving lengthy approvals and no commercial element. But the couple had heard whispers of discreet, off-the-books arrangements among the elite, trusted intermediaries, foreign surrogates brought in on temporary visas, agreements sealed with confidentiality clauses thicker than legal contracts. Desperation made the whispers louder. Enter Nadia Khalil. Nadia was 31, originally from Amman, Jordan, but had lived in Dubai for 8 years. She worked as a freelance translator and cultural liaison for international firms, someone who moved easily between Arabic, English, and French, always professional, always discreet. She had no criminal record, no red flags in any database. To those who knew her, she was reliable, soft-spoken, and ambitious in a quiet way. She had once confided to a colleague that she dreamed of starting her own agency for cross-border family services. Karim and Layla met Nadia through a mutual acquaintance at a private iftar gathering during Ramadan. Over coffee at the Armani Hotel, Nadia listened patiently as the couple explained their situation. She spoke calmly, without judgment. She explained that she had connections to vetted surrogates in Eastern Europe and Southeast Asia. Women who understood the process, were medically screened, and sought fair compensation for what was, after all, a profound sacrifice. Nadia positioned herself not as a broker charging exorbitant fees, but as a facilitator who ensured everything remained ethical and private. Her role, she said, was to coordinate doctors, legal paperwork, drafted by offshore counsel, travel logistics, and monthly stipends. For her services, she asked for a modest coordination fee of $25,000, paid in installments. The couple hesitated only briefly. They had already spent far more on failed treatments. Nadia presented references, anonymous testimonials from other families who had successfully welcomed children. She showed medical reports, redacted for privacy, and ultrasound images from previous cases. Everything looked legitimate. By June 2024, they agreed. The surrogate Nadia selected was a 28-year-old woman named Elena Petrova, from a small town outside Sofia, Bulgaria. Elena was a nurse by training, single, no children of her own, and had previously cared for a couple in Cyprus. Nadia arranged for Elena to arrive in Dubai on a 3-month medical visa, extended as needed. The embryo transfer took place at a private clinic in Jumeirah, using Karim and Layla's genetic material. The procedure went smoothly. Elena stayed in a comfortable 2-bedroom apartment in Dubai Marina, paid for by the couple, with a monthly allowance of $8,000 plus medical coverage. Payments flowed steadily. Karim wired $50,000 up front to Nadia's escrow account for initial costs. Another $75,000 followed over the next 4 months for prenatal care, housing, and Elena's compensation. The final $75,000 was to be released after delivery and legal handover. In total, $200,000, a sum that felt enormous yet somehow justified in the context of everything else they had endured. Through the summer and into autumn, updates arrived regularly. Photos of growing ultrasounds, doctors' notes confirming a healthy pregnancy, Short video calls where Elena smiled and placed Layla's hand, virtually, on her belly. Nadia was always present on those calls, translating when needed, keeping the tone warm and reassuring. By December 2024, the pregnancy had reached 32 weeks. Elena reported mild discomfort, but nothing alarming. Nadia suggested a final celebratory payment to cover the last trimester fully, another $30,000 transferred directly to her account for contingency medical reserves. Karim approved it without question. Then, silence. On January 8, 2025, Layla sent her usual morning message to Nadia. No reply. She tried Elena's number. Disconnected. The apartment in Marina was found empty. Neighbors said the tenant had left suddenly 2 days earlier, citing a family emergency back home. The clinic reported that Elena had missed her last prenatal appointment. Panic set in. Karim contacted the bank. The escrow account Nadia had used was closed, funds withdrawn in cash tranches over the previous month. Security footage from the bank branch showed a woman matching Nadia's description making the withdrawals, always wearing sunglasses and a scarf. On January 12, maintenance staff at the Burj Al Mesa residences conducted a routine check after neighbors reported a faint odor from the Hassan's penthouse. The door was unlocked. Inside, they found Karim and Layla in their master bedroom. Both were unresponsive, lying side by side on the bed as if asleep. Autopsy later confirmed carbon monoxide poisoning, traced to a faulty gas heater in the en-suite bathroom that had been tampered with, the exhaust pipe deliberately blocked. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. Toxicology showed high levels of sedatives in their systems, enough to induce deep sleep before the gas took over. The case landed on the desk of Detective Inspector Rana Al-Mansouri of Dubai Police's Major Crimes Unit. At 42, Rana had spent 15 years investigating high-profile incidents in the emirate. Fraud, extortion, domestic tragedies masked as accidents. She was known for her methodical approach and refusal to accept surface explanations. The initial scene suggested suicide. A handwritten note on the nightstand read, "We gave everything for a dream that was never real. We cannot live with the emptiness. Forgive us." The handwriting matched Layla's. But Rana noticed inconsistencies. The note was dated January 10, 2 days before discovery, but the ink appeared fresher than expected. The sedatives in their blood were a specific brand rarely prescribed in the UAE, one more common in Eastern Europe. And the gas heater, recently serviced, had been modified with tools not found in the home. Rana's team pulled financial records. The $200,000 trail led to dead ends, offshore accounts in Cyprus, then dispersed to multiple wallets and cash pickups. Nadia Khalil had vanished. Her apartment in Jumeirah was stripped clean, no personal items, no fingerprints beyond the expected. Her phone was off, last pinged near Dubai International Airport on January 9. Elena Petrova was located 3 weeks later in Sofia, safe but shaken. Through an interpreter, she told investigators she had never been pregnant. The ultrasounds were stock images from medical databases. The video calls were staged. Elena had been paid $15,000 to appear in pre-recorded clips, believing she was part of a legitimate documentary project on international families. She had no idea her face was being used to deceive anyone. She flew home in November, thinking the job was complete. The scam crystallized. Nadia had fabricated the entire surrogacy. No embryo transfer ever occurred. No child existed. The $200,000 had been siphoned through layers of fake invoices, clinic receipts, and staged medical reports, all forged with professional precision. But why the deaths? Rana's theory formed slowly. Karim and Layla had begun to suspect something was wrong in late December. Bank statements showed irregular transfers. Layla had emailed a friend in London asking about Bulgarian surrogacy laws, mentioning doubts about Nadia's credentials. Karim had scheduled a meeting with a private forensic accountant for January 15. They confronted Nadia on January 7. Phone records recovered from cloud backups showed a heated call lasting 23 minutes. Nadia promised proof and asked for one final meeting at the penthouse. She arrived that evening, carrying a small bag. Security cameras captured her entering at 8:14 p.m. She left at 10:03 p.m. alone. Investigators believe Nadia sedated their drinks during the conversation, perhaps offering tea or juice as a gesture of reconciliation. Once unconscious, she staged the scene, positioned them on the bed, blocked the heater vent with duct tape, traces found later, wrote the note in Layla's hand, she had practiced forging signatures from earlier documents, and left the building. The carbon monoxide did the rest, silent, undetectable without suspicion. Nadia Khalil was added to Interpol's Red Notice list in February 2025. Tips came in slowly, sightings in Beirut, then Amman, then nothing. Financial forensics traced fragments of the money, some used to purchase cryptocurrency, some wired to accounts in Turkey linked to family members. But the bulk vanished into untraceable channels. The case shocked Dubai's elite circles, not because of the money, but because of the betrayal of trust. Surrogacy, already a sensitive topic, came under renewed scrutiny. The government quietly tightened regulations on private facilitators, mandating third-party audits for any family arrangement involving foreign nationals. Karim and Layla's families held a joint memorial at a mosque in Jumeirah. Their assets were frozen pending investigation. The penthouse remained sealed for months. Friends described them as kind, generous people, perhaps too trusting in their desperation. In the end, no child was ever born. No legacy continued. Only questions remained. How far would someone go for a dream? And how easily could that dream be weaponized by someone else? The penthouse lights still come on automatically at dusk, reflecting across empty rooms. A silent reminder that in a city built on ambition, some prices are paid in ways no one sees coming.